What's up guys, it's your boy DS, and today I want to talk about the Frost Sorcerer build. Now on the screen you guys can see Maximum, and he is actually a hardcore player. He is playing hardcore sorcerer and currently is level 90 in this video. And let me tell you, the Frost Ice Shards sorcerer build is actually insane. A lot of people have been telling me about it, so I wanted to go ahead and do some research and look it up and, you know, see if I can find anybody with the best Ice Shards build. And I came across Maximum, and his build is absolutely insane. So I wanted to go ahead and break it down for you guys so that you guys can make this build if you guys want to make the Frost Sorcerer. Now before we get into this heavy, there is going to be two types of this build. There's going to be like the actual build, and there's going to be a great value build. And I'm going to talk about exactly why the great value build is something that you might want to, you know, consider, because not everybody's going to be able to make the exact type of build that he has made. Now the first thing I want to get into is the skill tree. Now I don't know 100% exactly what he is running, because he has streamed over the course of the last 4 days for 15 hours plus, and I tried my best to go through and skim through and look at the skill tree whenever he was opening it and everything like that. And this is basically what I got as far as what he was doing. I asked a lot of questions in chat and different things like that, so I'm almost positive this is what he's running, but I am probably going to be off by maybe a couple of skill points. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the build. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put 2 points into Firebolt. Now you're not going to be using Firebolt, but these 2 points are going to be for your enchantment, because as you guys see, direct damage from skills applies additional 20% burn damage over 8 seconds. Now obviously you don't care about this burn damage, but this is going to be very beneficial to the build later on. Once you get these 2 points into here, you can now go to your core skills. This is where you start to get your build immediately. You are going to be using Ice Shards. This is your primary damaging ability, so you're obviously going to max this out, but on top of maxing it out, you do want to get this right here, the enhanced Ice Shards, and then you want to go to greater Ice Shards. And the reason why is when you have a barrier active, cast of Ice Shards treat enemies as if they were frozen, meaning you're going to be dealing 25% increased damage because it acts as if they're frozen. And you will have a lot of barriers in this build, so this is going to be active pretty much all the time. Now moving on, this build is very mana heavy, so you do want to get 3 points into your mana, and then you also want to get 3 points into this so that your core skills can do increased damage whenever you're above 50 mana. You do want to heavily prioritize mana regeneration, and there's going to be a couple of different things that can help you with that, so this is why you are going to want to have this, so you can get that increased damage above 50 mana. So now that we're done talking about that, let's go ahead and move down. As you guys see, it's going to be the normal sorcerer combination of all 4 defensive skills. You are going to be getting the flame shield with the healing. You are going to be getting the teleport with the damage reduction. You are going to be getting the ice shield with the freeze if they hit you, and you will be getting the frost nova with the vulnerability. Now you can opt to go for the mana per enemy hit if you feel like you need a little extra mana. This is completely up to you. Obviously everybody's build is going to be a little bit different. Now on top of that, you are also going to be getting 3 points into the resetting your defensive cooldown, because you literally have 4 cooldowns. One of them are going to reset, and pretty much any of them resetting is going to be good, because you are going to be getting barriers every single time you use one. Moving down here, you're not going to be using any of these spells, but you do want to get the lucky hit chance to increase this and any other lucky hit chances in the build. But on top of that, you also want to get one of the elements for the damage reduction against elites. And then you want to also get this right here, so every time you use one of your cooldowns, you'll get a barrier, like I said, which is going to be over here, just giving you more survivability, and then allowing you to basically get your Ice Shards passive off a lot more as well. Now, moving down here, as you see right here, we have 2 points in the Icy Veil, basically giving your barriers a 10% increased duration. Really good, because you're always going to want to have barriers. And then you also have 1 point in the Inner Flames, but that is so you can get 3 points into Devouring Blaze. Now, like I said, the reason why we have that enchantment on is so that basically the enemies are always, every time you hit an enemy, they're burning. That means that you're getting a 30% increased damage boost. No matter what, it's going to be applied all the time, which is very, very good. Now, you're not immobilizing, so you won't get the second passive, but you will be getting that 30% increase at all times. Very, very good passive to have. Now that we're done talking about that, let's go ahead and come down here where we get to your ultimates. And I'm going to tell you right now, you basically want to max out all of these, because this is doing increased damage to elites. Is just going to let you shred them fast. You look right here, you do 12% increased cold damage to vulnerable enemies. You are going to be making them vulnerable with Frost Nova and different things like that, so that's going to be happening a lot of the time. Then right here, cold damage against vulnerable enemies has up to a 20% chance to generate 15 mana. This is going to be giving you some mana back, which this is a very mana hungry build, so you guys are going to want to have that as well. And then this right here, you do 9% increased damage to chilled enemies and 18% increased damage to frozen enemies. And with your barrier on in the Ice Shards, it does treat enemies as frozen, so this is going to be an 18% increase. Now, moving down to the key passive, you want this one right here. Your frost skills have up to a 10% chance to make your next cast of Ice Shards, Frozen Orb, or Blizzard consume no mana and deal 40% increased damage. Chances doubled against vulnerable enemies. You are going to have vulnerable enemies against with Frost Nova and different things like that, so that's all going to be just working and building in together. Now, I know I didn't talk about the ultimate, and the reason why is because there are two ultimates you can go with this build. There are two ultimates I've seen him use with this build. He interchanges them sometimes. I'm not entirely sure for the reason why, but this the two that he runs is going to be Deep Freeze, which encases yourself in ice. You're going to be hitting all the enemies, and you will get some of your resources back, whether it's HP, and then if you have aspects, you can get some mana back and different things like that. You do want to get the first upgrade, which is going to basically give you a barrier, which is going to be really nice. You can opt to go for this if you want to, but you don't have to. As you guys see, I have 2 points left, so we can get these first 2 upgrades. And then the other one is going to be Inferno, wherever it's, the fire serpent shows up, spins around, burning the enemies, and then Inferno repeatedly pulls the enemies to its center, which is really good. So basically, you can get all the enemies in the middle, and you can just burst all of them down with Ice Shards. Now, I will say I saw him using Deep Freeze earlier on. And then later into his levels, levels 80, 90 plus, he was using Inferno. I'm not sure which one would be better for the build, but that is what was going on. So whichever one you guys want to run, that is completely up to you. Now, like I said, I may be off on a couple of skill points as far as this build goes, but I'm pretty sure this is mostly what the build is. Now that we're done talking about that, I do want to give you guys a disclaimer. This build is very, very mana hungry, and I'm going to tell you up front, a lot of his gear compensates for that. He's going to have a lot of aspects and a lot of different unique gear that is going to be giving him enough mana to sustain himself when it comes to this build. As you guys see in this video, as he's using Ice Shards, he's pretty much never, his mana is staying up non-stop. Right? Anytime he uses Ice Shards, and a lot of times he doesn't even need to, but anytime he's using Ice Shards, look how high his mana is, and look how fast his mana regenerates. This is going to be coming from the gear passives, right? Putting aspects on it to help out with that. There's multiple different things that you can use to basically make this build work. So that is how the build pretty much functions as far as the Ice Shards go. Now, for anyone out there that doesn't have all the gear to have pretty much infinite mana, you don't have all the ways to make that work, there is an alternative that I want to talk to you guys about. As far as the skills go, the skills would be the 3 defensive spells here, your ultimate, whether it's the fire one or the ice one, Ice Shards, and then you'd go Frost Nova. This would be the build if you are using Ice Shards only. Now, if you do not have enough mana for that, you guys can actually opt to use Firebolt, and the reason why is because if you guys see, the first one, piercing through burning enemies, that's fine, but the second one, Firebolt, generates mana when hitting a burning enemy. So basically, if your mana is getting a little bit low, you can opt to use your basic attack, and you guys can basically get you some mana back so you can continue spamming your Ice Shards. Obviously, you have to tweak the build a little bit. It all depends on what gear you have and everything like that. But when it comes to this build, he very clearly has found some legendaries, whether it's sacred or ancestral legendaries. He has found some uniques that have enabled him to have close to infinite mana. Now, looking at a couple of different aspects that could potentially help you out, if you go to the ring, you can type in mana and it'll give you a couple of different things that are based off of it. As you see right here, your mana regeneration is increased by 10 to 20%. If you have not taken damage in 3 seconds, you're going to be having so many barriers, you're technically not taking damage. You can see right here, casting a basic skill reduces the mana cost of your next core skill by 10 to 20%, and this ties into if you're using that fire bolt, your next core skill is going to be using less. You can look at this right here, core or mastery skills cast above 100 mana, gaining increased critical strike chance. This is going to allow you to crit, allowing you to do more damage, allowing you to spam your ability less because you're going to be killing them faster. You can just keep going on, the list goes on and on, right? Burning damage can restore some mana, which you are going to be burning enemies the entire time during this build because of your enchantment. As you see right here, using a cooldown restores mana, which you're going to be using a lot of cooldowns in this build. But the point is, you will definitely need to pick and choose a bunch of different mana things that will enable you to keep your mana up as much as possible so that you can spam Ice Shards. Now, obviously right here, the reason why I don't have anything there is because you can choose whichever ultimate you want. This is going to be your ultimate slot. And for enchantments, the reason why I don't have anything here is because he's obviously playing hardcore, and with him playing hardcore, he is using Flame Shield to automatically give him a shield if he was to die. So if you guys are not playing hardcore, you guys obviously don't need to do that. As far as aspects, a lot of aspects work with this build. I don't know the specific aspects he used, and I didn't want to, put specific ones out there whenever the build is so flexible. The main primary thing you want to be looking for is mana and keeping your mana up. Outside of that, you obviously can look for things like core skills and whatnot. I mean, you can just type in core and it'll basically give you exactly what you want to know on, different things. Cores, critical strikes or core skills increase your attack speed, which might help out if you're using fire bolts. Attacking enemies with a basic skill increase the damage of your core skill. If you're, fire bolts once again. This is one that I'm pretty sure this is the one that he actually uses, by the way. Core or mastery skills casted above 100 mana gain 20 to 40% increased critical strike chance, which, as you guys saw, his mana was pretty much up for most of the time. And with that being the case, he is going to be getting this critical strike chance most of the time. So obviously you have to work with what you got to create the build, but I wanted to go and make this video because the Frost or Ice Shard build is absolutely insane, and I've been watching him so much over the past couple of days, and the fact that this build works in this way is crazy. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, comment down below, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.